The government in the Democratic Republic of Congo says the unilateral ceasefire declared by Rwanda-backed rebels fighting in the east of the country is, quote, false communication. Now, the rebels took the city of Goma last week. The UN says at least 900 people have been killed in the fighting.
A mass burial in Goma as morgues overflow with the bodies of those killed in the fighting. Power cuts from the conflict have kept morgues from being able to refrigerate the dead. The need to bury the dead quickly is urgent, as most mortuaries are located in hospitals where the risk of spreading disease to patients and healthcare staff is serious. Patients wounded by the fighting have overwhelmed hospitals. Hashima, just 10, was wounded by a bomb in a camp for internally displaced people.
We were packing up to leave the camp. Then suddenly, we heard a bomb explode. It hit me. I don't feel well. But what I really want is to get this bandage off my leg.
His sister, Tantine, found him in the hospital.
After the bombings, I heard the news my mother and older brother had died. My father had also died last month. I found out that my little brother was alive, so I came here to look after him. But one of my own 2 children is nowhere to be found.
This hospital, run by the Red Cross, has admitted twice as many patients as the beds it has available. Now they've run out of supplies to care for the sick and injured.
At the moment, we need supplies and medicines. In other words, everything we need to attend to patients. Our warehouse has been looted. That makes it difficult to provide care. We've asked our partners for medicines, but they've been slow to come. It's already been 10 days. This is making it difficult to administer treatment.
Despite reports of sporadic shooting and looting, civilians are making their way back to Goma. With more than 500,000 people displaced by the fighting, the scale of the humanitarian emergency is still emerging.
Well, I'm joined now by Bruno Lemarquis. He's with the United Nations Organization Stabilization Mission in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and he joins us now from Kinshasa. Bruno, it's good to have you with us. The M23 rebel group has announced what it is calling a ceasefire. The Congolese government says that is not the case. What is the UN mission hearing about the fighting?
So I'm speaking here today as the humanitarian coordinator for the Republic Democratic of Congo. We saw this announcement of a unilateral ceasefire by Alliance Fleuve Congo and the M23 armed group on 3rd February for humanitarian purposes. What I can say right now is that there is no ceasefire as we speak, since fighting is going on in South Kivu today. The town of Nyabibwe has just fallen this morning. This was the front line, this was the holding line, and the M23 continues to advance after Nyabibwe towards Kavumu, which is the main airport of the city of Bukavu, the city of Bukavu being the capital of South Kivu. So as far as we're concerned, no sign of ceasefire holding.
I understand there have been calls for a stop or a pause in the fighting on humanitarian grounds. Can you give us a sense of the scale of the humanitarian suffering?
So the humanitarian situation is dire as we speak. The battle for the control of Goma has unleashed levels of conflict in urban area not seen in decades in the region, with heavy artillery striking into town and violence spreading to many neighborhoods of the city. The human toll is staggering. You are showing the images right now, and our partners are on the ground are still working to assess it. Current estimates indicate that at least 2,800 people have lost their life due to the fighting and its aftermath, but this number is likely to evolve as we speak. During and after the clashes, the situation was very chaotic. UN and international NGOs' warehouses were looted, and millions of dollars of humanitarian assistance, food, medicine, and so on have been looted, which is a major blow for the emergency effort, and we are paying the price for now because we are short of supply. In a few words, I think the basic services are still not functioning at the level they should, especially water and electricity, and there are high risk of epidemics and a risk of deadly disease. Hospitals remain totally overwhelmed. The morgues are full. Medical teams cannot cope with the number of injured. The risk of epidemics are high, including cholera and mpox. And food has become scarce with inflation, and prices are rising. So it's very, very difficult for the population, for the civilian, and for our humanitarian colleagues on the ground.
And Bruno, I know that you have been calling for the airport in Goma to be reopened. So how difficult has it been for you to get aid in there?
So yesterday we issued a communique asking all parties to facilitate the reopening of the airport, which is a lifeline for humanitarian assistance in Goma. It's the biggest challenge we are facing right now. The airport is closed. There are operational reasons, but there are also governance and reason for it being closed. Without the airport open, we cannot evacuate the seriously injured. We cannot bring additional reinforcement to the humanitarian response, and we cannot bring supplies in from Congo. So that's a major impediment. So it's an absolute emergency. We are calling on parties to do everything they can to work together to work on the reopening of the airport, knowing that as far as the humanitarian community is concerned, we work under the humanitarian principle, which is our neutrality, our independence, our impartiality.
The UN Human Rights Council will hold a special meeting to discuss the situation in the eastern Congo city of Goma later this week. So, Bruno, what is your message to the global community ahead of that meeting?
So that's yet another very important meeting on the global stage about this unfolding crisis. The message is first, like in every conflict, but here it's people are tired because this has been going on. This conflict, not at the scale where it is today, but this is a crisis that is the most protracted on Earth because it has been going on for 30 years. The civilians are bearing the brunt of this crisis. We call on all the parties to go back to the political process, essentially the Rwanda process, the so-called Rwanda process. All efforts should be made right now to avoid a regional war because we could be at the brink of a regional war. We call on all parties to agree to observe a humanitarian truce to facilitate humanitarian assistance. And we call also on the international community to step up, to ramp up their support to avoid a further humanitarian crisis. Thank you.
Bruno Lemarquis, we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us and bringing us up to speed on the situation to this crisis inside the DRC. Thank you.
Thank you.